So joining us today is going to be Tracy Yellen here with the Paso del Norte Community Foundation. She's actually the CEO. So thank you much for joining us, Tracy.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Awesome. So for people who may not know, can you tell us a little bit about the Downtown Deck Plaza?
Sure, yes. So just for some background, we got introduced to this project when we were working on a trail system for El Paso County, the Paso del Norte Trail with the Paso del Norte Health Foundation, 70-mile hike bike space across
Beautiful.
El Paso County. Yes, so exciting. 20 miles completed, 30 miles in development. We're really making progress. And so we worked closely with TxDOT in that process, and we're trying to figure out how do you get bike spaces through downtown.
Yeah.
They were working on reimagining I-10, and in one of their public meetings, they showed this rendering of a park that would go over the freeway, over I-10 in the downtown corridor, and that was in the late 2018-ish. Got very excited about the prospect of getting involved in this. Worked with the city of El Paso to get some funding from the US DOT to do a feasibility study.
Mm-hmm.
And so after the pandemic, worked with the community on a vision for what a deck park would look like. So what we've developed is a 6.5 acre park over I-10
Massive.
from Santa Fe to Kansas with highly activated spaces. So it's an amphitheater, a children's playground, dog park, field house, recreation, sports courts, space for entrepreneurs, vendors, food trucks. So, a central park for El Paso that better connects kind of the spaces downtown south of the freeway and spaces north of the freeway, which, some are referring to uptown, but connecting to Sunset Heights, connecting to the Rio Grande neighborhood, connecting to UTEP. So really expanding the footprint for our downtown
And
community.
making it safer too, just to walk straight over, essentially reconnecting the two areas.
It absolutely does. And even in the Biden administration, they had a program called Reconnecting Communities, and it was to fund projects just like this to, 50, 60 years ago, El Paso had these gorgeous connected neighborhoods downtown, and north of the freeway. There were houses and neighborhoods, and so this gives us a chance to reconnect a part of that. Certainly not the whole thing, which would be amazing,
Yeah.
but at least in this core area.
That's amazing. So I-10 is expanding no matter what. Let's clear the air on that one. A lot of people have been saying, they kind of get confused with that. So can you expand a little bit?
Yeah,
about
so
that?
TxDOT did this study on I-10. The freeway was constructed in the late 60s, early 70s. Every 50 to 60 years, you need to reconstruct them. So the damage caused to the freeway from rain, wear and tear. So they need to rebuild that part of I-10.
Mm-hmm.
And so they have $500 million allocated for the first phase of that reconstruction from Loop 1966, or just by UTEP, to just east of I-10. So $500 million to reconstruct downtown 10 at first phase. They'll eventually go to Executive Center, and I think they'll eventually go to Copia. But then in this phase one, by law, they have to raise the height of the bridges downtown. Yeah. So all the bridges that are north-south, so from Santa Fe to Campbell, have to be rebuilt in order to meet new code, which is 18-foot clearance versus a 14-foot clearance. So as they do that, they will also then add a lane downtown. So they'll take the retaining walls downtown, which are sloped. Mm-hmm. They will straighten them out. That's what gives us that extra lane. And then they will instead of kind of rebuilding those north-south roads, we could cap the structure instead. Create those north-south connections, but put green space in between.
That sounds great. To me, that sounds great. At least, it's very exciting to have something like that, a project planned. Just something that you don't see too often, especially here. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity, once in a generation, I should say. So
yeah, that's a great point. And that's why, because as TxDOT does their work on I-10 and puts those retaining walls in, they can make the retaining walls strong enough to hold the deck. And if we can't kind of meet this moment, then that opportunity kind of goes away. And we've seen how effective these spaces are in other communities. So your listeners, your viewers may have heard of Clyde Warren Park in downtown Dallas. They
Beautiful.
had 500 people living in and around downtown 20 years ago. They have 40,000 people in and around downtown today since that park was built. It's the number one tourist destination in Dallas, which has many destinations. So they've seen a resurgence. They've seen more housing, more services, more activity in that downtown. The Dallas area, they're now building 3 more deck parks because they've been so positive from a quality of life perspective, but also from an economic development perspective.
And I think they just recently opened part of one, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, they're announcing, they're opening Halpern Park. It's a new deck park off of I-35, over I-35, between one of the neighborhoods and the Dallas Zoo.
So, Tracy, why is a project like this so important for our community?
You talked about that once in a generation. So I think there's this moment where we either have a wider hole in downtown with the freeway, or we have a community space for all, an activated space. We're seeing, thanks to the work of the DMD and all of your partners, but an incredible response to community events and community spaces that belong to all of us. Neighborhood parks are so important, and we all, in our communities, we need those green spaces near where we live. But these destinations, for sort of downtown destination, where there are activities that don't make sense for one particular neighborhood, like a parade or the Winterfest, that downtown makes sense for those kinds of venues. You're seeing such an incredible response to them. 55,000 people opening night of Winterfest.
Insane.
The highest visitors came from 7936, 79938, 79924. They're coming from all over our city. If you look at the 450 to 600,000 visitors for Winterfest season, coming from every zip code, as a higher percentage of residents coming from the east side, but also south of the freeway in 01, 03, 05, 07. Like it's a place that unites all of our community. Most of these events are free and available, and we see it's just beautiful to me. We spend a lot of time downtown with our family, but all families and dogs and grandparents and grandkids. It really is a unique space for us all to come together.
So I'm a dog owner. Can I expect maybe a dog park?
Yes. So right now in the plans that are 30% design, there's a dog park, and there's a section for large dogs and a section for small dogs. So I think that'll be really fun for families, but also individuals that are coming. It's a great way to meet people, a great outing with a dog.
It's a nice time to socialize and
get one of those pup cups.
Yep, there we go.
Enjoy. Yeah, it'll be I was thinking that in New York City they have the Westminster Dog Show every year, and this year they put blow up dogs like around New York City. But we could do our best in show. Those are the spaces where we come together. People, bring your dog to the park day.
Yeah, most definitely. And there's so much to do with. There's so much potential, I should say, that could happen as a result from this park.
Yeah, just the sky's the limit, like the kinds of activities and events. I mean, there'll be things that are very simple, like you could come and walk, you could come and sit in shade, you could come and play at these sports courts, you could be a senior, and I expect us to have a game station where you with your family play, or I think the food trucks, the lunch crowd, the early evening kind of happy hour crowd. There's going to be something for everybody in a space like this.
That sounds so exciting. I even saw like a little playground area in the rendering. So I'm very, very excited for this. Tracy, for those who might still be on the fence, what would you want them to understand about this project?
Yeah, I think a couple of important things. One is it's this timing, and that's sort of the once in a generation, which we've talked about. Secondly, we've also talked about it being a community space for all, something for everybody, and another attraction. And third is the economic impact. So we engaged HR&A. They did an economic impact study. It shows that this project and projects like this would have $1 billion of impact, positive net income revenue to the community because of the project. And that's from 300 permanent jobs that would be developed, but it also contributes to quality of place. So it adds green space over the freeway, which is important. It reduces
I was just about to say.
which and noise. So those are important. But it also they believe will really spur affordable housing and more housing options for people in and around downtown. So we have a potential 1.7 acre adjacent parcel that we're hoping we could build about 1,700 units of mixed income, mixed use housing. And then you can just see that expansion of it out there. Already we have so many residents that live in Sunset Heights, Rio Grande, South El Paso, all in walking distance to this space, where then we build more opportunities to bring the grocery stores, the other kinds of amenities that people are looking to have downtown in order to create that urban lifestyle for people looking to live in a downtown area.
Yeah, and I know it may be a little surprising, but I've been hearing a lot of people saying that they want to move downtown. So this is potentially brings so many different units to downtown that brings that type of possibility.
Yeah, the city did a study, the Uptown Downtown Plan, and they have a projected pent-up demand for about 10,000 units of housing. Wow. And that would be from kind of Sun Bowl Drive or all the way to Paisano, Segundo Barrio, Duranguito area, Texas, McGoffin, and in and around this area. So you really just create this additional resurgence of vacant lots, vacant spaces, underutilized spaces that exist right now in that area.
Yeah, downtown is, I feel like, at this really beautiful moment in time right now where, we still have that history, that historical part, but we're also seeing this new wave of everything coming together. We have all these different projects going on, and now the planned, Downtown Deck Plaza. So very exciting. I do think, there's so many different things that we could do with this. And, I guess the main point that we need to get across is that there is construction coming to I-10 no matter what. So it's a matter of, do we get something out of it, or do we just, wait for the construction, have that little brief moment of, just being very upset, whereas, we get through it and we have this beautiful park to enjoy.
Yeah, thank you so much. I mean, it's these big projects get done when we work together, and we're very grateful to the city of El Paso, the county of El Paso, the private sector for creating a coalition where we can really think through how we get this done at minimal cost to our community. That's the goal. We don't want this to be a burden on our community. We want it to be a benefit, and so that's what we're all working very hard to achieve. And for it to be a complementary space to the convention center, to our art museums, to all the reasons people are coming, the library, the MAC, the El Paso Museum of Art, like all of these really wonderful places. Okay. We really encourage people to learn more and get involved. There are a couple of ways you can do that on the website, downtowndeckplaza.org. You can learn about the cost of the project, sources of revenue that we've successfully been able to secure so far. But also, we'd love to hear from people what they'd like to do in this space. So there are comment cards on the website under Get Involved.
You may see my name there.
Okay, good. So we've heard from people that they'd like to see music under the stars and farmers markets. So the infrastructure is one thing, but the activity is another. So we'd love for people to dream with us and also, give suggestions of what they'd like to see in the space.
Awesome. How about social media? Where's a good place to find you all?
Facebook, Instagram, on both of those channels.
Awesome. And that's just Downtown Deck Plaza. So thank you so much, Tracy, for joining us. I think I hear a little cheese miss, so stay tuned for our Cheese Corner.